Hi guys, welcome to TinyLog tutorial. In this session, I am going to explain TinyLog implementation for Gradle project. Let's go ahead and start. I started my Eclipse. Here, right click, New, Other, and search for Gradle. Now click on this Gradle project. Next, project name is TinyLog Gradle Demo, and click on Finish. Now, once this Gradle project is created, we need to add the dependencies for TinyLog in Gradle build.gradle file. Now if I expand here, so build.gradle file is there. Now here we basically have to add the dependencies for the TinyLog. Now let us go to the Maven repository. From this URL, basically you can get the Gradle dependency for TinyLog API. So just copy this line here and go to the Eclipse and add here this dependency, and we need one more dependency for the TinyLog IMPL. So that jar you can basically get the dependency from this particular Maven repository, and so copy this particular dependency and add it into the yeah, so I copied here. So once we add these two dependencies, just go to expand this project and external dependencies, see whether we are able to see the Maven dependency, basically TinyLog dependency jars are not here. Now what we have to do is right click, Gradle, refresh the Gradle project. Now it automatically downloads the TinyLog, these two TinyLog dependencies, and it will be added under project and external dependencies. Okay, if you see here, TinyLog IMPL and TinyLog API jars are included in this Gradle project. Now let's go ahead and start with our basic logging using the TinyLog framework. Now let us create a new class by right clicking on the source, new class, and the package name is com.siva java techie dot TinyLog, and here class name is TinyLog demo. Let us have a main method in this particular class. Click finish. Now by using the TinyLog, directly we can implement the logger in a accessing the static method way. So logger dot info, welcome to TinyLog Gradle world. So this is the info. Let us copy paste for the another 4 levels of the logs. One is info, another one is error, another one is debug, trace, and one. So these are the 5 different log levels are supported by the TinyLog. Okay, so let us change this wording also. This is one log entry, and This is trace. This is debug. Sorry, debug. And this one is error. Okay, so that's all about how this is the basic way of implementing the TinyLog for the Gradle project. Now let us go ahead and run this program. So if we don't provide any configuration for writing into the file, by default it is going to print it onto the console. Now when this program runs, it automatically this logger information will be printed onto the console. If you see here, it basically printed the info, error, warn, debug and trace levels of the loggers. That means everything it has printed. But when TinyLog basically writing the log entries to the console, there are two streams it basically uses. One is system.error, which basically uses error and log level error, and the warn is basically printed by the system.error, and other log levels like info, debug and trace, these printed by the system.out stream. So that's the reason if you see error, it is basically highlighted in the red color. Now this is the basic implementation of the TinyLog. Now let us see how we can basically configure more properties based on our requirement. We can change the format, levels, and even we can write to the multiple files. All this information we can see by using the by creating a TinyLog configuration or the properties file. Now in order to create a TinyLog configuration file, right click here, new, source folder. We need to create a source folder for this with the standard naming convention of src main resources. Under this, basically we have to create tinylog.properties file. Now right click, new, file, tinylog.properties. Now click finish. Here we can specify the what type of format and what is the logger, and whether we need to write it to the file or some database, or in the case of apps, in the case of Android, there will be a Tomcat, that is some different type of logging formats are basically available. Now first let us see how we can write to the file. So writer, we can say this as a file, and writer dot file, we can give the file name, that is test.log file, and writer writer dot level, which is basically log level to info. Now let us see what happens. So previously when we don't provide any configuration, it basically printing this log information into the console. Now as we configured this settings to basically write the log entries to the file, instead of writing to the console, now it will write it to the file. Now let us go to the TinyLog demo class file, right click, run as Java application. Now it basically completed writing the log, and if you go to the uh, go to the project directory, just refresh it. Write a dot file log dot this one, run as Java application. Then if you see here, this is the test.log is the file which got created. and which has the all the log information. As we set the log level to info, that's the reason in the logger it basically printing info, error and warn. Now if we set to debug, then it is going to print debug, info, error, warn. Let us see how it will print for debug. Uh, when I update the writer.level to debug and run this program again, so this time what happens is it printed info, error, debug and warn. So this is the one configuration. Now if we want to print to file as well as for the console, then what we can do is we have to create a one more writer here. Instead of file, we need to say this one console. For the console there is no need of file, and then log level. If we run this time, it basically writes the log entries to the console as well as to the file. Now see here, this has printed to the console. At the same time, it basically printing onto the file. Now if you see here, by default the log format with the date and time and then thread, and then it has the class along with the method and the log level, and we have the message. Now even we can format this one as per your requirement. Now how we can do that? By using the writer dot format. Writer dot format equal to, here we can specify the date, and now I directly want class and method, and then I want the message, and also I want one more tab space here, then I want level. Now this is the format basically I'm expecting in the logger. Now if I go ahead and run this program again, run as Java application. If you see here, this is how it basically printed. It taken the date and then class, method, and it has the tab space, and then it has the information about the level. So like this, you can basically format the logger output as per your requirement. And one more important property here is, let me go to the TinyLog.properties file again. This is the one. This is one. So that means this is the one format I want, and this is in the another format I want. In that case, what happens is I can set this to the debug, and here I can set this one to the error. Now what happens is, whenever writing to the file, it will follow this configuration, and whenever writing to the console, it will respect this configuration. Now let us go ahead and run this program again. Run as Java application. So as I set the writer 1 level to error and also console, it printed only one line here. But if you go to the test.log, it still have this whatever the format we specified, it is printing with that. And one more important configuration is about tagging to the logger. For example, based on certain tag, I want some of these loggers should be enabled instead of everything. Then what we can do is we can add a tag here. That means writer dot tag equal to system. Then what happens is whenever this writer is logging the entries to the file, first it will look for which are the loggers is basically tagged to the system. Now here there is no logger is tied to the system. That's the reason when I go ahead and run this time, what happens is nothing will be written to the file. So because I didn't change the any thing to the console, that's the reason it's printed error. But if you see the test.log file, you don't see any information. This is because the first writer is basically tagged to the system. Now there is no logger here attached to the system or tagged to the system. Now you can go ahead and tag using the tag method and specify the tag name. Now what happens is whenever the writer is writing to the logs to the file, first it will identify whether the writer is tagged to the any any tag or not. If it is tag, then it will look for what are the loggers basically tagged to that particular tag, and then it will print that information. Now here what I done is system is tagged to the info and error. Now when I run this program, this information now it will be only the info and error log will be written to the logger file. If I go and test this log, if you see here, this is the info and error. This is because at the configuration level, we set it for this writer tag as a system, and it will look for the loggers. Which are the loggers are basically tagged with that system. Only that information will be printed, and remaining will be ignored. Okay, so this is how we basically implement TinyLog implementation for the Gradle project. Thanks for watching. Have a nice day.